Ah, there we go. Hello, Nico. Yeah. Now this isn't a pipe video, and there's nothing about tobacco in it. So if yeah, so switch off now if that's what you're expecting. Um, I well, I'm going to apologise to Dan. I appreciate you probably don't want this sort of thing drawn attention to or anything like that, mate. But and I considered writing you a missive on this, but then I thought, it's very difficult to explain stuff like this to people in a letter. So I thought I'd make a very brief video, just a few things. Now, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, I had a very nasty motorcycle accident. Had a run-in with a 16-ton lorry, which not unsurprisingly won. And as a result of that, one of the results of that was that this arm. I don't know if people ever know. Sometimes people don't notice, but if you watch my videos, I always use my left hand and nothing else. Um, so I can't use my right arm at all, really. I've got a little bit of flexion in the elbow. So I just wanted I mean, when I had the accident, I was absolutely daunted by the prospect of living with one hand. And to be honest with you, I sat there wondering, it seems silly now, as I say, in hospital, wondering whether I'd be able to put my own socks on. Of course I could, but things like that go through your mind, and it's kind of worrying, and you think, my God, you know, uh, this is going to be really hard on all the rest of it. So anyway, a couple of key areas I think that you know for the unidexter that need, are difficult. The first was eating. Now, when I first got out of hospital, what I did was I used the top of a casserole dish, which you put your food in there. I had a bigger one than this. I don't use it anymore. I've become quite the master of being a unidexter, so I don't necessarily need it. But this is excellent because it's got a lip on it. So what you'll find is when you've got two hands, you cut like that. Now, when you've got one hand, if you try and do that, the food will just fly off the plate because you can't use one of these little fellas. Um, so what I've got is a steak knife, not one with a serrated edge, but one with just a straight edge, and I sharpened it. That is very, very sharp. And you don't cut like that anymore. You force it down, push it down, and then move it slightly so the piece of meat or whatever you're cutting is held in place. Um, the other thing is, I don't know how much function you've got in your good hand, but forks sometimes, what I did when I first had my accident, uh, I didn't have a good grip in this hand either. I was quite ill. I used gaffer tape. I haven't got any to hand, so I can't show you. And I put gaffer tape around the handle of the fork, so there was quite about half an inch of gaffer tape all the way around, and it's easier to grip then. Ordinary kind of tape, gaffer tape's about that wide, so you can get quite a good thing on it around it. But it's really helpful to be able to get a grip on the fork. And as your paralysed arm gets better, I would imagine occupational therapists might give you a fork with a. My dad actually managed to rig up eventually. He used a cycle grip for the handlebars of a bicycle and stuck it on there, and that made it very easy. My grandfather had a stroke, and we did, but he got a bit more help than I did. But he could only use one hand, but they gave him a fork. Uh, I don't know whether you could sharpen the edge of a fork to make it easier, so you could just cut the food. To be honest with you, a lot of the time what I do is I don't use a knife at all. I just use the side of the fork to cut things up. But as I say, if you're getting used to it, it can be difficult. But yeah, so sharp knives, top of a casserole dish, so you've got a lip so that things don't shoot off your plate. When I first had this accident, the devastation around my plate, with things flying off, peas. And I find now that I squash things, peas particularly, and don't try and put, on the back of the fork, because obviously you've got one hand. The other really useful gadget, I'm going to try and speed this up, is a back scratcher. A, because you can get to those places, but also you can pick stuff up and drill things nearer to yourself, use it, because it's got a hook on it. use it. I believe these days you can get gadgets which have little pincers on the top, the kind that guys that pick up rubbish use, and so you can actually pick up. But I don't know how. I'm sure they're very available in. The other thing for the old bathroom, I don't know how mobile you are getting in it, but at the moment I've got a very bad back, and once my painkillers kick in, the 4 different varieties I'm now taking, I'm able to sit in the bath, but I should imagine it'd be quite difficult for you. But one of these, just you can reach, wash your feet, things like that. Very handy, and also you can put a flannel on the end of it and have a good old scrub. But anyway, if I think of anything else, and hopefully, I'm sure you're getting lots of help anyway. But as I say, I've had one hand now for many years, and I can do shoelaces up and things like that with no problem at all. Ties, no problem at all. And I think it's quite daunting to start with, but as I say, once you get kind of not into it, but when it becomes more normal, I hope that your right arm will recover quickly and that you won't have to, use these tips. But as I say, very basic. I hope that helps, and I hope it's not embarrassed you in any way. I didn't intend for that, but I just thought it'd be easier to show you than to write to you. Okay, Dan. Best wishes, mate. Take care.